Hey everybody, I am back. This is my Pop Heart. I am your host, Meli. Y'all, I love you guys. And if you're watching this right now, thank you for sticking with me because I've been MIA for the past 4 or 5 weeks. I haven't posted anything. I haven't even posted on Instagram. I've just been chilling, and that's so bad. I really should check in and just post something explaining why I've been missing for so long. But I've been back in NC, if you know, from like the first episode that I recorded. I explained that I'm from North Carolina and I moved to LA. I am still living in LA, but right now I'm on a trip to North Carolina to just like see family and friends and just to really like excel. Like, if you know anybody that has moved to LA by themselves or have moved anywhere, not even just LA, just moved anywhere by themselves without knowing anybody and starting over and everything, it can be overwhelming and it can be a lot going on and a lot of focus. You have to put in a lot of focus whenever you don't have family and friends to fall back on. So that's what I did for that whole year that I lived in LA. Is just, being on my grind, you know, eating healthier, going to the gym at least 3 times a week, and just like really on it, going and like meditating and just being out in nature. And so my trip to North Carolina, I was just like, I'm going to do the complete opposite. And I don't even know if it was like a thing where I planned to do the complete opposite of what I've been doing in LA, but it just kind of happened. I came back here and it was just like me, like, as soon as I got off the plane, I just kind of like, it's like, oh, I got, these like 2 months to just be irresponsible, to not, think so hard, to not, I guess, worry and have, anxiety about things. And if I'm going to be able to do this and how much time I have to do this, like, I just want to be here, just laid back and just be on a vacation. That's what you're supposed to do on a vacation, is to forget about all those worries and just to be irresponsible and just live life. And so that's what I've been doing. And that's why I have not posted or anything. But I miss podcasting. Podcasting is like one of my biggest one of my biggest babies. That, like, my first podcast that I started was in 2000. I think it was the end of 2019 or something, about the whole COVID thing. So I would say officially 2020. My first podcast that I ever came up with, I planned everything and got everything together, and I, brought in my best friend and we did our thing. So yeah, like, I love podcasting. I do love podcasting, and I love pop culture. Like, those two together is just, that is one of my dreams, to be able to talk about pop culture. I love it so much. That's one of my favorite things to talk about, if not my favorite thing to talk about. Like, it's, besides like deep conversations about life and stuff, other than that, it's like pop culture. I love it. I love it. So I'm back. While I'm my while I'm on my vacation, I just, I want to record. I want to get back to my roots because I kind of have been like, I've been going past vacation mode, past vacation mode, like the irresponsibility and just like not caring so much about stuff. I've kind of like taken another level. So I'm like, to like will myself back into me, I need to have a balance of both. So, I'm going to get back to podcasting, and I did some journaling. Did some journaling earlier. I had my like manifestation journal also, the Bible. Like, I'm just getting, you know, I'm slowly getting back to me, which all of it is me, but like, and so this is what you'll be seeing for the next few videos. This is room and this big shadow behind me. This is the room that I'm staying in. I am staying at my brother's while I'm here in town in North Carolina. And so, yeah, this is the background and everything you'll see. I wish y'all could like see outside. I don't know how much you can see outside, but it's so beautiful. Like that's something that you don't see in LA. It's how beautiful the trees are, and like the orange leaves, orange and green and red and like yellow, beautiful woods that is like right outside the window. And I love just looking at trees and, things like that, nature. So really nice. So yes, guys, I am back. I am officially back. I will be posting every week. I'm saying this on here now so I can keep my promise that I will be posting every week. I miss you guys. I miss doing this. I really do. This isn't something where I'd put it on the back burner because I just absolutely didn't want to do it, and it's not a passion of mine. It really is a passion of mine, but I put everything back on the back burner while I, you know, drink a little bit too much and, you know, be scandalous. No, but for real, I did not always look like this. So coming back to North Carolina, because I did lose some weight, like my hair's grown out and everything. And so, yeah, I've been getting a different reception and on like dating apps and just in person. I've been getting like flirted with more and just like people are like, you look so good. And like, so I've been soaking that in too, y'all. I'm not even gonna front with y'all. I've been soaking it all in. But I'm back here with the core of me. And that is this podcast, and that is with you guys. So let's get into it. Let's get into some pop culture while we're all here and while y'all tune in is for the pop culture, and I'm here for the pop culture. So let's get into it. Okay, so I just got a couple of things. So this episode is going to be like a mixture of things. I've had episodes in the past where I have like a full episode of just like throwbacks. I have a full episode of just like current pop culture news and some with like movies and reality shows. So this one is just like a mix of everything because, we haven't talked in a while. So I want to cover a lot of the bases. So today we'll be talking about some movies and pop culture that has came out, a little bit of reality TV, some upcoming movies, and then we have a segment at the end where we'll be doing a fun throwback segment because I did turn 30. I know I don't look it, but I did turn 30 about 2 weeks ago. And so, in honor of me turning 30, we're going to do a throwback segment where we are talking about everything that has turned 30 in the year of 2024. So that should be fun. But first, let's get into some movie news, some pop culture movie news. Also, I am like wired on this coffee. I don't know, because this is like instant coffee. And I think usually I put like 1.5 tablespoons. And I'm pretty sure I accidentally put 3 tablespoons today. And I'm like wired. I am wired. I'm like ready to go. And I sprinkled some sugar in it. Some good shit. Okay. Here we go. So first in the My Pop movie news. So I was scrolling on Facebook the other day and I saw the news that they are making a sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer. This isn't a reboot. Jennifer Love Hewitt is returning to be in it. So, and she's also not going to make like a cameo and like it's a whole different cast. There will be a younger cast, but Jennifer Love Hewitt will be part of the story. Kind of like if y'all have been watching like the last three Scream movies, how not Sydney Campbell, Sydney, Sydney Campbell is from Scary Movie. That's who Anna Faris Cindy Prescott from the Scream movies, how she's still in the movie and that, her story is one of the main stories that's being told while bringing in some younger, fresher faces. And also Courtney Cox still being into it. So yeah, this one's gonna be like how they did Scream, and I'm so glad because they have they have done a really good job on the Scream movies because it really is like a hit or miss. We've seen some of these like reboots and continuations of movies that we love, these classics and originals, and uh, some of them I'd say like a good 70% of them just end up being like trash or just like, why did we even have to touch this classic? But the Scream movies have been keeping it going. Every single one of those Scream movies have been so entertaining and so just like shocking. Every time I've been like, where you think that you know who the killer is and like you think you have it figured out, and it's like not who you think it is. Every single time that I've like watched it, because you would think, because they've made so many of these Scream movies and movies that are like Scream, that you're like, okay, this person's a killer. And it seems like obvious or whatever, and it just kind of like ruins it for you. When you find out who the killer is too early in the movie, that's all you're thinking about the whole time. And you're like, yeah, that's the killer, so I know this is gonna happen. So it kind of ruins it. But no, every time that I've watched these new Scream movies, I'm like, what? So yes, I'm so excited for the I Know What You Did Last Summer. I hope Brandy's in it. Like, I really do hope that they bring Brandy back. I know that they're bringing back Freddie Prinze Jr., who was Jennifer Love Hewitt's character's boyfriend in the first and second one. And we're really hoping, fingers crossed, that they bring back Brandy. And I'm excited for this sequel, even if Brandy's not in it. I Know What You Did Last Summer is a classic, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. If it's going to, if they're going to stick with that classic, story, or if they're going to switch it up. And it was kind of like the Scream franchise have kind of merged the two, like the new age horror and that classic 1995, 6, 7 kind of horror, mix it together. So let's see what they do. I Know What You Did Last Summer. I'm excited to see it. And anytime I get some news about it, I will let you guys know because I'm a huge fan of those. Okay. Second on our My Pop movie review news, something. I don't know. We'll see. Next is next is Wicked. Guys, I went to go see Wicked a couple of weeks ago, and oof, so good. So good. That movie was so great. And I don't know if I liked it even more because I didn't know what happened in Wicked. I've never seen the Broadway musical. I've never read the book because I believe there was a book with it. So I don't know the story. So it was like even better for me. I am that type of person where if I know how something ends, or if I know huge parts of a movie or show, that's something that I think about a lot. And like while watching the movie, I'll be like, oh, okay, well, this isn't going to work out because this is how it ends. Or like, this person dies in this movie. So, that's not good. I like to be surprised. I'm that type of person that hates spoilers. Like, I like to be surprised and I like to have that shock factor and to just let things play out. So for me, I didn't hear anything about how Wicked goes. Obviously, we know from everyone has watched Wizard of Oz, so we know how it's going to end for the witches. But that was the only part that I knew. So Wicked was just like a whole experience for me. We snuck in some wine in the theater. me, me and my friend and her mom, we stuck some wine in the theater. So we were just having a good old time. The theater had some reclining chairs. So we were just like chilling, sipping some wine, and just really enjoying it. Oh my gosh. How emotional. I like, because wine, wine takes things to another level emotional wise. Is just drinking wine, so that there were already emotions that were brewing in us, but with the wine it took it up another level. So it was just like parts where it's just like, oh, this part, like, this part might make me cry if we were all like sober. The wine took it up another level where we were like, I'm gonna cry. I'm crying. My friend that I watched it with, and it probably was towards the beginning or middle of the movie, and she was already crying her eyes out. And I was like, that's that wine. That wine made it very emotional for us, but it was so good. Like, the voices. Bravo to the production and everyone, directors, everyone that put together this movie and actually hired trained singers. There's some movies and there's some just Broadway musicals that have been made into movies or books that have been made into, or remakes or cartoons that have been made into like live action. And they hire people that are not singers, that are decent singers, because I believe everyone can be trained to be like a singer, to be decent singers, to know how to like hold a note. But does that mean you can sing? No. And these girls sang their butts off. Oh, especially Cynthia. Oof. Her voice, the way, like her acting and how there's just, I don't even know how to explain it. She's great. She is great in this movie. Ariana is so fabulous in the movie. Her character and just how she played this part was just perfect. But Cynthia, she deserves an Oscar. I don't know if the nominations for Oscar and Golden Globes and everything has came out, but Cynthia definitely deserves an Oscar. She needs a Golden Globe. She needs a SAG award. She needs all of it because it's tens across the board. The story was great. Never hear, I've never heard the story of, what goes on in Wicked and everything. So it was just like great just seeing everything and not knowing what was going to happen next. So it was just great. I loved it so much. And it was a sad story, but it was a good story. It was so good. And the things that they just put in the movie was just so, if your heart was not tugged, if your heartstrings were not tugged watching this movie, I don't know who you are. You got to be like heartless. Hey. And so let's get into a little bit of reality TV. Um, a little bit of reality TV recaps. Okay, so first we're gonna start out with Real Housewives of Real Housewives of who? Salt Lake City. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, guys. That show, if y'all have been keeping up with that show has evolved. Every season is like totally different from the last. Every season since the beginning, there was Mary that was like, you smell like hospital, about somebody's aunt that was like dying. And that being a huge argument, which is so crazy to think about, which Mary was also married to her grandpa, to her own grandpa. Really interesting show, guys. If you do not have Peacock, download Peacock to watch Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. It is one of the wildest and most random shows that I've ever watched. And I've been watching Housewives for over 10 years. And I watch all of the Housewives, all of it on the franchise. But Salt Lake City takes the cake of just being the most like random and the most just like, what am I watching? And they're also in Salt Lake City, so it's a huge Mormon community. So just the Mormon of it all is just already like a thing where it's like, what? And then you throw in like Mary being a pastor that's married to her grandpa, Jen Shaw, that was like, we watch her whole like story of being convicted of stealing from the elderly, stealing, running a business that was stealing from elderly people. So her being arrested, her being convicted, Jen Shaw's in prison now. So like you see all of that on the show. You have like Whitney that was like a guy's mistress that they ended up getting married and having kids. We have Lisa Barlow, who is a Mormon that sells tequila. We have Meredith, that's just like she's always in a bathtub. It's a lot. These are some characters. And last season, there was a there was a castmate named Monica. She ended up being so there was this Instagram account that would expose the Salt Lake City women and that would post their secrets and that would just troll them really bad. about their family, their businesses, like all of it. And so they never knew who was running that account. It was Reality Von Teese. That was the name of the account. We find out last season that Monica, which is a cast member, which is one of the housewives, that she was running the account the whole time. That was exposing family secrets, business secrets about every single one of the wives. And we find out that Monica was running that account the whole time. Y'all, the the gasp that I let out. And I've been watching Housewives for maybe it's been like 15 years, and never have I ever saw something that fucking nuts. Like, who the fuck does that? Welcome to the Housewives, guys. If you have not watched Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, you should watch it. Y'all, I know y'all like dramas and stuff. Housewives have turned into the modern day like soap opera. The drama's there, the family's there, the storyline is there, the fashion if you're into fashion, the comedy is there, like all of it. We got some good newbies because obviously they had to kick out Monica after we found out she was like running the account that was like harassing them and their family. So she had to go. But they brought in some really good newbies, Brittany and Bronwyn. Good stuff. Yeah, so I've been watching that. My favorite newbie is Bronwyn. She is just that's who you want to see in a housewife. Well, housewife for the show, not like real life housewife. She just brings like the funny, the comedy. She has these like wacky outfits. Like they went to the club and she wore a hot dog costume to the club, which was apparently high fashion. It was actually like a designer that like designed that she saw like on the runway. So it wasn't even just like Party City. Like Homegirl's like couture and all of that, like big fashionista. And she brings back like she brings the wittiness. She's just very quick with her response. She also doesn't take bullshit. She's like straightforward. Perfect new addition. Yeah, this season is taking it. I know this sounds like a Bravo like ad promoting Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, but it's just so good. I just wanted to tell y'all a little bit about it. So definitely check that out. I will do a full episode where I'm just doing recaps, maybe just like episode by episode recaps of like Housewives and other reality shows that I'm watching. So think about it. That's in the making. But yeah, just wanted to say a little bit about that. Check it out. It's on Peacock. You can watch all the episodes on Peacock, and I believe you can watch some episodes on Hulu. I believe so, but check it out. Okay, before we go, this was so nice. I'm already like loving this and like just loving the nostalgic vibes. And I love how I haven't like posted any of my podcast episodes in over 2 months and it's already feeling like nostalgic. I'm already putting the word nostalgic to it. But let's get into the dirty 30. Yes, at the beginning of the show, I did say I did turn 30 about 2 weeks ago. And so I together a segment of things that have turned 30 this year. And first on the list, we have everybody's way of doing their Christmas shopping, one of the most important tools of this holiday season, and that is Amazon. Amazon turned 30 this year. Can you believe it? I'm pretty sure y'all know like the some of the story about how Amazon was just not what it is today, like starting out, and how Jeff Bezos really just like worked his ass off to build his business. And COVID is what like, did it. COVID is what really brought Amazon to being one of the biggest companies in the world. And that just like shows like me saying this now, I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, wow, like if you really like put your mind to something, you really just continue to build business or a relationship or just a hobby, anything. If you just keep working on it, That thing turned 30. COVID happened 2000, what, 19, 2020, 4 years ago. And Amazon's turning 30. So he spent so much of his time just building, building, building. Amazon has always been like, you know, one of those higher companies, but no one could have foresaw the future of where what happened with our world with COVID. And so with COVID randomly happening and like all of the hard work that he put in finally being able to like pay off like hugely, that just shows you like you keep going for your dream. I don't even know if I'm making sense right now because I'm legit jacked off this coffee, y'all. Like I don't know what is going on, but this is like this is like crack right now. I definitely put too much coffee in this and I'm just like rambling, but here we go. Oh my god. Woo! Next is the Magic School Bus turns 30 this year, y'all. The Magic School Bus. Oh my gosh. Magic School Bus was one of my favorite like learning shows back then. Oh my god, I loved watching Magic School Bus in school. A really good show. Really, really, really good show. Grew up watching it. Mr. Frizzle, I always wanted to be on the Magic School Bus. That was like one of the shows that I wanted to be in so bad. I'm pretty sure all of us have felt that growing up watching Magic School Bus. It's just like wanting to be on that school bus with Miss Frizzle and like everybody else and going inside people's like minds and shrinking down and being in like dirt and seeing like the insects and everything. Yeah, just one of those classic shows. And I believe they brought back Magic School Bus. I think they did on Netflix. And instead of Mrs. Frizzle, it was Miss Frizzle's niece that took over the school bus. I believe so. I'm pretty sure I did see that. I know. It's a classic. I love the Magic School Bus. Okay, next is the reason why. The reason. This- the reason why. Okay, so this is gonna piss off some of the gamers, but 30 years ago, the reason why some people will never grow up and the reason why some people procrastinate a lot of things is because of this one thing that came out 30 years ago, and that is the first PlayStation. The first PlayStation came out 30 years ago this year. How wild is that? I think I've only played the PlayStation maybe 3 or 4 times in my life. I was more a gamer whenever it was like the Nintendo 64. So Nintendo 64, maybe the Nintendo before that. That's whenever I was like more into gaming. But after the Nintendo 64, I just lost when it came to that when like the disc that looked like CDs, putting all of that in there and like no. That was just not my cup of tea after the Nintendo 64. But I'm like that type of person that love to just like watch people play the game. When there's like an interesting story, I remember like siblings and cousins playing like Spider-Man, Grand Theft Auto. Like I like to like watch people play the game. Not so much like play the game, but just like games where there's like stories to it. Not so much of like the sports one. The sport ones are all so boring to me, like the basketball and football and everything. But when they have like good stories and just I love those. I know that there was one, I think the last one that I watched someone play the was it the Quarry? I believe it was called the Quarry. And it was a game. It was one of those like games that had like a story to it where I think it was a group of friends that were camping out and there was like a killer that was like hunting down all the friends. I believe it was called the Quarry. Really good one. I watched someone play that one all the way through. And also, I think there was one called like Two Souls or whatever. I don't know. I love a good game when it has the stories. The sports, not so much. But yeah, the first PlayStation came out 30 years ago this year, which is so cool. Add that onto the Dirty 30 list. Next is a movie that all of us have seen. I don't care who you are or how old you are. Everyone has watched this movie. This is one of the classics, and that is Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump came out 30 years ago. How wild is that? The iconic lines. I think that's like on the list. I'm gonna make a list, a top 10 list of the most, I guess, pop culture classic movies. And Forrest Gump is definitely on that top 10. Out of all the movies, Forrest Gump is one of those. The classic lines, the classic scenes, really run, Forrest, run. Like, I still think about that sometimes running is run, Forrest, run. Like, it's so classic. I was just on Instagram 2 days ago and saw that they actually have like a bubblegum shrimp cafe thing, which is so cool because the movie's 30 years old and they still have these like restaurants and have these like sayings. It's one of those classic movies. Forrest Gump is great. Okay, next, a show that a lot of y'all love. The only reason why it's on this list is not a show that I love, but the only reason why it's on this list because it is part of pop culture history, and that is Friends. Friends for me, it's it is a classic, but it's not a classic to me. That's not something that I watch, especially because after finding out that the creator of Friends watched this other show that was a lot like Friends, and it was called Living Single. A lot of the African American community definitely know what that show is and grew up watching it and had family members that watched it that put them on or had their mom and dad that are like watching it. It's just such a good show. It's called Living Single, and just like Friends, and the creator of Friends watched Living Single and was just like, okay, show about a group of friends and they're guys and girls and stuff. Let me create something that's like that, but make it a white version that barely have any black people in it. That's where Friends came up. And I've seen a few episodes of Friends. Friends is always on TV. Like that show is 30 years old and it has not left TV at all. That is for the last 30 years, it's always on. You can just at any time flip through channels and Friends is going to be either on like TBS or TNT or USA. Like Friends is one of those classic shows. But yeah, to make y'all feel old, I put that on the list. 30 years, Friends. It's whenever it premiered. An RIP to Matthew Perry, because I believe he passed away this year. How wild that he passed away the same year that the show that made him famous and gave him the big break, Friends, premiered. So that's something to think about. Okay, back to another classic, The Lion King. That blew my mind. Whenever I saw that on the list of things that turned 30, that blew my mind. The Lion King. I did not know The Lion King came out before I was born. That is wild to even think about. And it's still like, I think this whole list is classics, honestly. Looking over at this list, like classics, all of it, 30 years ago, Dirty 30. And The Lion King is definitely one of the most classic um, movies that Disney has ever came out with. So classic that they are coming out with Mufasa, which is the prequel sequel of the live action Lion King. How wild is that? 30 years later. It's crazy. The Lion King is, yeah, very iconic. And I'm excited to see what they do with The Lion King. If they're going to make more and more after making the second one, or if they're going to do some kind of like show. But I'm pretty sure they're going to pull something out because Disney is definitely one of those companies that if it works once or if this idea works, they're going to do it over and over and over again and see how much money they can make from it. Hence Moana 2, which I heard Moana 2 was not that good. That was just like a money grab from Disney, but we shall see. Okay. And so This one is a little bit of like a food category. So, something that turns 30 this year is the McNugget. 30 years old. Which honestly, I thought the McNugget was like older than 30 years. Honestly, when was McDonald's made? Maybe I should look that up. American fast food restaurant chain McDonald's was founded in 1940, but the first McDonald's opened on April 15th, 1955. Wow. 1955. Okay. So it's founded in 1940. The first one, the first restaurant was opened in 1955, and they didn't get the McNugget until 1994. What the fuck? Like, I can't even think of McDonald's being open and running without the McNugget. And they just came out in 1994 after being open for what, 40 years? I'm bad at math, so it's probably so wrong. 40 years beforehand, right? 40? Yeah, I'm really bad at math. Wow. So the McNugget came out 30 years ago and it changed the game forever. They will never get rid of the McNugget, even though McDonald's have the fakest chicken that you'll ever think of. I don't even know what that is. It's definitely not chicken, but keep it coming. I will always eat McNuggets. Like, if I cut out all fast food, I will still have like a little pocket open for a McNugget. Any day, one of the best chicken nuggets that you'll have is a McNugget. So thank you, McDonald's, for coming up with that because the McNugget is a classic. Classic, classic, classic. All of these are classic. And it makes me happy going down this list of things that turned 30 this year. And it's just like Amazon, the McNugget, Magic School Bus, the first PlayStation, Forrest Gump, Friends, Magic School Bus, Lion King. All of these are just great classics. And just to know that I'm in good company, me turning 30 this year, and the company that I have, like, we're all just classic. We're all classic. Everything on this list, including me, we're all just classic. The Dirty 30 this year. And so, in this Christmas spirit, even though we haven't said anything about Christmas, but to bring in some Christmas spirit because it is, you know, the middle of December, to end off this list, the last one that I have is the Santa Claus. This one was shocking. The movie The Santa Claus premiered 30 years ago this year. How wild to think about that. The Santa Claus, that is such a classic movie. We've all seen it either at home or in school. The Santa Claus movie is just so classic with Tim Allen. So good. That is like a tradition. It's just like watch it, not every year, honestly, because I don't watch it every year. But it's just a tradition to watch it every few years. The Santa Claus movies, all of them are great. They have not made any bad Santa Claus movies. They're all just great. And it's just, that's our Santa Claus. When I think of Santa Claus, that's who I think of Tim Allen. I think it was just cool how because I don't know if they've made a Santa Claus movie before that movie that showed the process of becoming Santa Claus and like how Santa Claus was like a regular guy like everybody else and how he became Santa Claus and just him, him starting out his job and everything. So that was so cool. And I think that's why it's one of those classic movies because we see so many movies where the Santa Claus is just him. He's already old and like already just jolly Santa Claus just doing his job. We see that in so many of movies and shows and cartoons and stuff. It's just like it's him and he's just like so this one was just cool seeing Santa Claus become Santa Claus. And that's why we love it. And I definitely will be doing a holiday episode. I'm not gonna say when that's gonna come out because I don't want to make any promises. But I will be doing a holiday episode about all of those movies, the Santa Claus, the Ultimate Christmas Present. If y'all remember that movie, that Disney Channel movie, that's just oof. I think that's top three of my favorite movies, favorite holiday Christmas movies. Is that probably do some like Hallmark Christmas cheesy movies, all of it. There's more. Oh, A Christmas Story. Yes, all of it. The Shining. That was around Christmas time, wasn't it? We're going to talk about it all. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are officially back. This is My Pop Heart. I love you guys. I will be posting more. And welcome back to My Pop Heart. I'm your host, Meli. And until next time, 30-30.